Hi, welcome to Chapter 10. We're going to basically talk about tables. And tables are just basically just blocks of places to put data, really all it is. So we're going to talk about the table element. We're going to talk about headers and footers within tables. We're going to talk about group columns, table styles, applying padding, margins, and floats to a table, the style of the table with their background colors and maybe the border of width and all that sort of thing, the border colors, and then how we can apply different table styles. The first thing we need to cover is what are the table elements, okay? So we have a table tag. We have a TR, which is a row tag. We have a TD, which is a column tag. We have a TH, which is a table header tag. We have a caption, and we have a thread, or T-head, which is basically a table header. So what you want to think about is we've got a table. So we've got a table, we've got an ending table. And everything goes in between those two. Before I can have a column, I have to have a row. So I have a row, then I can split that row into columns. I can have another row, I can split that into columns, so on and so forth. The very first row can be our header. And the reason we have a header, a TH tag, is because we'll have that styled differently than we will with the rest of the different rows. So this is basically an example of a table tag, and this table tag, we also have a T-body, which is a table body, a T-foot, a call property, and a call group property. Those are more for the styling within our cascading style sheet. So this is basically what we're going to be creating as a table. It looks something like this, and again, this is styled differently, but again, we have rows and columns. Notice that this row up here, it is styled different than everything else because it's a TH. So again, here's how it looks. We've got our table, we've got our caption, and then here's our table row, our table header, another table row, another table row. So this is our ending row. So we said here's where the row begins, here's where that row ends, and we've got another row, and then we've got another TD. So that's a table header. So table header is just like a column, except it is made to be a separate styling. We're going to style it differently. And I've got, here's the TD tag for thriller, so on and so forth. Do I have an example of this? Okay, so again, let's just look at the book. So, so here I've got, this is Thriller in 1982, Pop 110, and we end that row, we go to another row, and here's a column, here's another column, another column, another column, another column. We end that row, we begin the next row, and so on and so forth. And again, what we end up with is this table right here. Now there's a lot of overhead to get to that table because I have to say TR for a row, then column, 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 ending TR tag, another basically row, column, 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 column. But you'll notice that with each one of those columns, I have a beginning TD tag and an ending TD tag. I always have to tell where the ending column is. And also to keep your table uniform, you have to make sure that you have the same number of columns in each row. The caption element lets you add a caption to the table. By default, captions are displayed at the top of the table. The caption element must appear immediately after the opening table tag. So what happens is, notice it says best-selling albums worldwide. That's the caption that appears above it. Okay? That's what this caption right here does. And it always has to be right after the beginning table tag. So then we have a border collapse property. Notice that each cell in the table below has its own border. This can make the data in the table difficult to read. This table has to be more legible with the table borders collapsed. You can specify this with a border collapse property. So in here we say table. Now this is a CSS style. I say table border collapse collapse. And what it does is it basically has just one border instead of multiple borders. And so you'll notice right here that is a table collapsed border. Call span. This lets you create cells that span multiple columns. So let's say I wanted these two cells to be one cell. Well, we can do that with the call span. C-O-L, call span. So here I've got TD class, or what it looks like we've got a style class in there. Column span 5. When you build column spans, make sure all of your columns add up to the correct number of cells. So here's what we've done. We've said we want this title to basically, I'm sorry, I was thinking of merge. So column span, we want this to span this width, okay? So so here is the call, I'm sorry, no, I am right. So here's what we've done. We've taken this best-selling albums, so we made that a TD all by itself. So instead of that best-selling albums worldwide being a caption, we're going to make it a row. And we told it that we want this row to only have one column, and it's going to span 5 columns. So here's artist 1, album 2, release 3, genre 4, sales 5, and this says span 5, so we got one column that's going to span 5 columns. Because tables really want every row to have the same number of columns. If you don't, you're going to run into problems. Row span lets you create cells that span multiple rows. So call span spans multiple columns. Row span does the same exact thing with spanning rows. So here we've got a TD class title, row span 6, best-selling albums worldwide TD. So we've got TR, TD. Now look at this guy's going to span 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows as one column. So we can see that there's our TR, there's our TD, then we've got a TH, because the THs are our headers, and this TD is one column with basically spans 6 rows. Rows can be grouped into head, body, and footer sections using the T-head, the T-body, and the T-foot. Now what that allows us to do is to basically have our header section one style, our body section another style, and our footer a different style altogether. So here I've got our table. Here's our T-head. We got a row. We got our two THs, which is our table headers, which think of THs as columns. We've got 2 columns. We've got our ending T-head. We've got our T-body. We've got 2 rows there. We've got an ending T-body, another T-foot. We've got one row with 2 columns, and basically this is what it looks like. Now again, we styled the T-head rows differently than we did the T-foot. So again, it just allows us to take separate parts of a table and allow us to, so it doesn't do anything different except allows us to style things differently. So here's what we've done. We've said all of our T heads are going to have a background color of that and a font family Arial. Our T foots are going to have a background color of that. It's going to be a font family Times Serif. It's going to have a font size of 0.9 ems, and it's going to be italicized. So now when I do any T heads are going to have that style, any T foots are going to have that style, and T bodies are going to be basically have a different one altogether. So the call element lets you specify style characteristics for individual columns. It always appears within a set of a call group. Both the call group and the call elements must appear immediately after the opening table element or after the caption element. Okay. So here I've got best-selling albums worldwide as our caption. So there it is, best-selling albums worldwide. And our call group is going to span 2, and it's class left. and our call group span 3, class right. And then I got my table row, artist, which is our header, album. So again, we're telling it, we want to use a call group. It's going to span 2 columns. It's going to be our class left. So we're going to have some style that's left and our style for right. And so this guy says we're going to use the class left style for the all of the columns that are on the left, or basically the 2 that span on the left. Then after that, the next 3 columns are going to have the class right applied to them. And so we can see there we've got a blue for our call span 2, call group span 2, and then it's brown, probably a brown background for our call group span 3. Let's see what the yeah, so here's our call. Okay, there's our, and then we say call group, class artist, class albums, boom, so on and so forth. And then we said that the call artist has a background color of that. So here's what we've done here. Now I've said I'm using an actual call group tag with a column in there, and we basically have our class artist, class album, okay? And so what that does is that allows us to basically have our artist, album, release, genre. So now we can actually have a specific style per column. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. It allows us to get a specific style for each individual column. I've got a caption side property. It says you can style the caption with the CSS to position the caption on your top or bottom of the table. And we use the caption side property. We're going to basically apply top or bottom to that. Let's see if they have an example. So yeah, so here I've got caption, text align left, font style italics, padding bottom 10, and that's basically what it looks like. So it automatically defaults to left. Since I didn't specify top, that's the default. If I wanted to appear at the bottom, I would have put caption side bottom. I can apply different style borders to a table, and there I can actually say I want the border to be solid 1 pixel black, and then border collapse. That means it's going to basically have one border as each individual cell having its own border. But when I do border, that's just the border for the table. That's not for the border for each individual cell. So this is basically what that would look like. If I said again, and that's just for the table. The table's going to have a border, nothing else. If I want each individual thing to have a border, then I have to put TD is going to have its own border, solid 1 pixel black, and then what we get is each individual cell having its own border. I can actually specify the table header row. So the TH row, I want to have a custom bottom border. Right here I've got a blue, that's probably a 2 or 3 pixel wide border, and that's a bottom border for that particular item. So here I got table, the border solid 1 pixel black, the border collapse. Our TH and TD are going to have a solid 1 pixel border, and our TH is going to have a border bottom that's solid thick blue, and so it's thick. It's going to be thicker than just a normal 1 pixel, and it's going to have a background color of that particular color. I can also apply different padding. So remember, margins are basically from the edge of our web page itself and over from that. When I'm inside of something, like we've talked about boxes before, that's where padding gets involved. So padding is the margin inside of something. So if I don't want text up against the border of my table, I can actually adjust the padding, which is the margin inside of each cell of the table. So here I've got TH and TD is going to have a padding of 5 pixels. And that's basically what that looks like. Okay. So I change it, the border is solid 1 pixel black, the padding is 5 pixels. So here I've got a table heading, pattern bottom of 10 pixels. So now we've got more of a space on the bottom of our header. Notice we've basically, so it's got, when I say padding 10, that's all 4 sides. That's all 4 sides. Remember, if I want to do padding, I could do padding number, comma, number, comma, number. If I have 4, that basically is top, bottom, left, top, right, bottom, left. If I did just 2 numbers, the first one represents top and bottom, the next number represents left and right. So now we can actually then add margins and floats. Now let's take a look here at this guy. And I believe this is just a standard movie. So here I've got my table, here's my caption, AFI top 5 movies, here's my row. My table header, I got basically, again, a table header is basically a column. I've got a pound sign, movie, year, and director. I've got another row that's got a 1, Citizen Kane, 1941, Orson Welles, number 2, so on and so forth. So when I look at it, just a basic table. Notice it's got no border. So why don't we have a border? What did we do there? We have no style. So there is no border. Okay. So if we look at solution 2, now we have a border, and again there's our caption. So if we take a look at that guy, we can see that we now have a font family Arial sans serif. The border is a solid 4 pixel blue. So that borders all the way around the table, because again that style is just for the table, and the border collapse is collapse. Our TH and TDs are going to have a border of a solid 1 pixel black, and padding is 10. That means it's all 4 sides of the cell are going to have 10 pixel padding or margin inside of there. So again, that looks just like so. The next one, look at that guy. I don't see, oh, this is where we put the caption to the left. So if we take a look at that, we can see that we now have a table, has a font family Arial sans serif. It's got a solid 4 pixel blue. That means all the way around the table. That's the only place that's going to happen. And border collapse, meaning instead of having each cell have its own individual, let's collapse them into one. And our TD, TH have a border of 1 pixel solid, padding is 10. Our caption has a text align left, the font size is 0.85, the font style is italics, the padding bottom is 10. Okay, just the bottom is 10. So if we look at it, we can see that we've got a padding down here of 10, but basically the default padding on top. So what if we were to go back over here and I believe it was caption, what was it, caption collapse? Caption side. Okay, so let me go ahead and add caption side to this. So I'm going to say bottom. I'm going to save it and come back over here, do a refresh, and notice now that is at the bottom. Notice though that where's the padding? The padding's on the bottom, it's not on top, so that text is right up against. So I would need to come into here and change that padding bottom to padding top, and then save it, and then refresh it again, and look at that. Now our padding is there. Okay. So pretty cool stuff. We can control everything, where we want things to be, what color, so on and so forth. Okay, margins and floats. So now you'll notice that this table is up against the left margin, or whatever this little gap here is. There might be a little bit of a margin there. So we would say float left. Now a float, if we float a table, that's just like anything else. Wherever we put that table, anything that comes after that is going to basically wrap around that table. If we floated it right, it would basically be over on the right hand side, and basically everything would then wrap around it there. If it's on the left hand side, again, everything would wrap around that. We said margin right 20 pixels, margin bottom 10. That means it's going to be off of the left hand side a little bit. It's going to be up against that edge, but it's going to have 20 pixels on the right hand side to basically make sure the text is up against it, and it's going to have a margin bottom of 10, so everything below that will be 10 as well. So it looks as though we have a paragraph. We started a new paragraph with this table, and notice we've got our bottom and right margin here around the table. The table floats left, so again, as we made this website, this web page, if we were to resize it bigger or small, this screen, that text is going to stay around that particular table and always keeping that margin and that padding. Okay, so here we've got a caption, padding bottom, text align left, font style. Okay, so then we can specify a background color, and we can do that by, again, we could do it by col span, we could do it by call groups, we could do it by TD, we could do it by TH, by basically anything we want to basically do it by. So if we look here, we've taken our TH, and we've said our TH is going to have a background color of that, and our color is white. Again, whenever we make something a color white, that's usually applying to the font. And we've got a TD has a background color of something else. And so that's how we get this to have a darker blue, this to have a lighter blue, and there's the white text that's going to show up there. We can alternate color rows. This is pretty cool. And how would you do that? Well, you would create a class to have a background color of this, and another class have a background color of something else. So here I've got tr.odd and then td. The background color is that particular color. So then when I say tr class odd, that means the column inside of that is going to have the same color, and it's going to color that one color, and then the next row would not have a class odd, and so it would have a normal color background. So that's how we get these alternating colors. We could do odd and even, however you wanted to do it. Let's see if that looks like over here in solution 4. Let's see what they're doing in there. So there we've just pretty much talked about the padding bottom, and then our TH has a different color up there as well. Okay. So now we can do a hover effect. So we've seen hover effects over URLs, over anchor tag links, but what if we wanted to have it so our rows are the same thing? And we can do that with a hover tag, a cell hover tag. And the way we do that is we say td:hover. So we're saying that this column is going to have its own hover, and we're going to make the font white and the background color of that. And we can also do a tr hover td to apply to an entire row. Okay, so this guy right here will apply to an entire row and all the columns, or this will do just pretty much a cell within a row. So if we look at this guy, there is the individual row. So let's take a look at that. And about the only thing we have basically added is this TR hover. Okay, we made the background color that. Now let me change that to a TD and let's see what happens. Okay, so again, different row. Let me do a refresh. And now I've got individual cells. So TR does the entire row, a TD does each individual cell. Okay, so this is the activity that I would like for you to do. Go through this line by line, step by step. When you get done, it's going to look like this. Okay, this is basically what it's going to look like. Notice that the TH does not have the hover effect, only all the other cells. Again, how does that look? It basically looks like this in the code. There I have a call group. That's how we have that one whole column has its own color. We have the caption. Here's our TD hover. We use the TD instead of the TR. So anyways, go through that and open up that table project, open it up, and then basically keep applying each one of these different style effects and basically go through that. Any questions, make sure you give me a call, and we'll see you next chapter.